Do as I say, not as I do. Vote blue. Hey, babies! Hope you guys are having the merriest Christmas ever, or did, depending when the hell I get this video up, probably after, but Merry Christmas either way, and Happy Kwanzaa, which is totally a real thing. Oh my god, so I swear, I seriously was not going to do another debate video, but I have so much to say. So much crazy shit happened, and basically I watched this thing so you guys don't have to. Your mental health will thank me. Trust me. I can't believe I've watched this and have yet been driven to drink, so let's just jump right into it, I guess.
You know, Judy, it was a constitutional necessity for the House to act as it did, and, Trump's response to suggest that only half of the American people want to see him thrown out of office now, I find is dumbing down the presidency beyond what I even thought he would do.
So, of course, impeachment is the first thing that they jump right into, because that's really become the only thing the Democrats have is orange man bad. And they really have nothing to say about it. It's just all these vague generalities about values and integrity and all that, but it's very little in the way of specifics. They don't say anything at all about what he actually did or why he should be convicted or anything of the sort. A lot of people don't remember this, but after the Democrats took Congress in 2006, there was a lot of pressure on Nancy Pelosi to impeach George W. Bush. And just my opinion, but if there were any presidency in my lifetime that deserved to be impeached, it was the Bush administration. And she would not hear of it. She was like, no, absolutely not. She shut it down. Why? Because George W. Bush was the most unpopular president. And a lot of things that they're saying about Trump were actually true about the Bush administration. And that's why Nancy Pelosi didn't want to impeach Bush, because she knew, ooh, it'll be good for us to run against that. Let him keep digging the hole, and we're going to sit here smiling and just run against him and kick his ass in 2008. And that's exactly what they did. All of this impeachment about Trump shows that they know how weak their own case is. You watch these debates, and all they talk about is, how can we beat Trump? How can we beat Trump? How can we beat Trump? Well, if he were that bad, as you're hysterically claiming every minute of every day, then it should be a cakewalk. It shouldn't even be up for discussion how to beat him. It should speak for itself.
Is any wonder that if you look at the international polling that's been done, that the Chinese leader is rated above the American president, or that Vladimir Putin congratulated him.
So this is a very key point that he said right here, the international polling that's been done. And I think that kind of says a lot. There's so many points throughout this debate where they talk about what other people in other countries think. And I'm sick of it. That's such a component of these sort of affluent liberals, is that it's all about image. It's all about, ooh, what other people think. I don't give a damn what people in other countries think.
We need to restore the integrity of the presidency, of the office of the presidency. And it's about time we get that underway.
How many debates have there been so far? And all I keep hearing Democrats talking about are integrity and morals and feelings and values and morals and morals and morals. And that's exactly what made me hate Republicans of years past. They were always preaching. It was always about morals and values and all that. And meanwhile, they were tapping under the bathroom stall door. So, because family values. I mean, this is something that I literally learned when I was like 12 from watching Survivor. That whenever people are talking about how moral they are and honesty and integrity, that I immediately distrust them. Those are always the biggest liars there are. So I'm just really sick of Democrats talking about integrity and morals and values. I mean, Obama created 5 new wars. Ask the mother of a Syrian child about values and integrity.
Dishonoring the presidency of the United States.
Under Obama, we dropped so many bombs in Syria that the U.S. military ran out of bombs. But morals and integrity. It is just mind-numbing watching these, because all they talk about is Trump. Trump.
How we are going to run against the most corrupt president in living history.
It is amazing to me that these Democrats keep talking about corruption and our democracy, threats to our democracy. Were they not around in the last election? They're the ones who rigged their own primary. But democracy. Okay, so let's talk about Tom Steyer for a minute, because I don't know, who is this asshole? I don't know why he's here. He has no support. I have never met one person who even really knows who he is, let alone supports him.
Mr. Yang, what more can you say to the American people?
Judy,
I'm sorry, Mr. Steyer.
Oh, he bought his way on stage. I forgot. But millionaires and millionaires.
I'm sorry.
Well, let me remind everyone that I'm the person who started the need to impeach movement over 2 years ago.
So let's talk some facts. In 2016, Tom Steyer spent over $87 million on electing Democrats. In the 2018 midterms, he spent over $123 million on electing Democrats. Now, in 2019, he's running as a Democrat and somehow keeps ending up in debate after debate, can't imagine why, of course, to lecture us about fighting the rich and powerful. Millionaires and millionaires. But an even more important fact is that in October of 2017, Tom Steyer spent over $10 million lobbying for the impeachment of the president. That's October 2017, so that's less than a year that Trump has been in office and over 2 years before any of us had ever heard of any of the Ukraine stuff. Since then, since 2017, Tom Steyer has spent an additional $70 million lobbying for the impeachment of the president. So I actually find that to be kind of scary. This man spends almost $100 million lobbying to remove an elected American president while running to be his replacement in a party that he has gifted with over $200 million in the last 3 years alone. I mean, what sort of banana republic are we living in? Whew.
As an outsider, getting the American people's voice to count.
Oh yeah, and he's an outsider, by the way.
I'm running because this government is broken because it's purchased by corporations.
Purchased by corporations? It's purchased by you. So I want to play you guys real quick Andrew Yang's opening statement because when he said this, I finally understood why people kind of like him a little bit, and I was shocked that somebody actually said this.
And Americans don't trust the media networks to tell them the truth. The media networks didn't do us any favors by missing the reason why Donald Trump became our president in the first place. If you turn on cable network news today, you would think he's our president because of some combination of Russia, racism, Facebook, Hillary Clinton, and emails all mixed together. But Americans around the country know different. We blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based in Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri.
So let me just say, thank you. God, a moment of sanity and honesty. I can't believe somebody actually said that, but way to go, Yang. Like, good for you. I would just love so much if in one of these debates, just one of the moderators would ask the candidates, why did Donald Trump win? What do people like about him? If you don't understand what the counter-arguments to your views and your policies are and what other people value and how they think, then how can you ever persuade them? But no, Democrats think that they are just so superior with their morals and integrity and values. They think they are just so superior to everybody else that they don't have to persuade the voters. You just do what you fall in line and do what they tell you. I digress.
It would allow, hopefully, Mexican workers to organize into unions, independent unions, and be able to negotiate decent contracts.
Mexican workers to form unions, international polling and Mexican workers. I mean, I'm sorry, not to sound cold, but I don't care about Mexican workers. I care about American workers, Mexican-American workers, all American workers. Like, it's just always other countries. And then they wonder why people think that they care about other countries more than they do America.
The overall U.S. economy right now looks strong. The unemployment rate is at historic lows. Unemployment among African Americans is down. The markets are booming. My question to you, Mr. Vice President, is what is your argument to the voter watching this debate tonight who may not like everything President Trump does, but they really like this economy and they don't know why they should make a change?
Well, I don't think they really do like the economy.
People like the economy. No, they don't. That's literally their pitch for this election. Hey, I kind of like the economy. No, you don't. Hey, I kind of like the Constitution. No, you don't. Hey, I think Trump's not that bad. Yes, he is. Okay.
How do you answer top economists who say taxes of this magnitude would stifle growth and investment?
Oh, they're just wrong.
Okay, they're wrong. And these are the same people who say, oh, we have to trust our experts and we have to listen to the experts and listen to the media and all that until it goes against them. And then, oh, they're wrong.
This climate change is an existential crisis.
I am hoping that we, in fact, will do what I'm suggesting, which is declare a state of emergency on day one of my presidency. Environmental justice, clean up the air and water in the black and brown communities.
Declare a national emergency. What the scientists are telling us is they have underestimated the threat and severity of climate change. Save the planet for our children and our grandchildren.
Can we please ban the phrase for our children and our grandchildren? National emergency. Am I the only person who, I totally am for environmentalism and climate change and all that, but the way that the left and Democrats have been talking about it the past year or two, I swear to God, it's making me want to litter just out of spite. We are one of the few countries where our emissions have gone down over the last 20 years or so, while China and India, they've just increased. Then there was one moment where Joe Biden said something very revealing, which you can't even believe he accidentally said the truth.
As president, would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of blue-collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, because the opportunity for those workers to transition to high-paying jobs, as Tom said, is real.
This just sounds like a Ponzi scheme to me. Hey, we're going to displace you from your job, but look at the massive opportunity in front of you. We're going to take more of your taxes, but look at what you'll save. If you like your doctor, you can wait.
With Trump out of the way, it's not going to change things in a fundamental way. But what it will do is it will mean that we're in a position where he's not going to be able to intimidate the base. His base is not going to be intimidate those half a dozen Republicans we may need in other things.
His base is intimidating people by not voting for Democrats. His base is 63 million people, and that was 4 years ago. It's probably more by now. This is what I will never understand. In 2016, about 8 to 9 million Obama voters voted for Trump. And, by the way, the entire election was won by about 100,000 votes. So they can talk about whatever they want, Russia and all that. The election in 2016 was won by walkaway voters. 100 times over. And I imagine that it's only grown exponentially since then, because I know so many people who didn't vote, like, look at walkaway, so many people who didn't vote for Trump in 2016 that now they're like, I would walk through broken glass to vote for him in 2020. For all those lifelong Democrats who switched parties and voted for Trump, it's as if they don't even want those votes back. Oh, I need a drink watching this. Ugh.
We strive for a more perfect union. Well, that's what we are doing right now. And to me, that means, one, that everyone can vote, and that includes our communities of color.
So black people can't vote?
What would I do as one of the leaders on voting in the U.S. Senate? One, stop the purging.
Stop purging the voter rolls. Really, where is Bernie Sanders? Where is Bernie on this? Why does he not speak up and talk about what this party did in the last election? Stop purging the voter rolls. It was Democrats in 2016 who purged the voter rolls. In New York, they did it. They did it with Bernie Sanders voters. They did it in Brooklyn. They did it in Queens. They purged 200,000 voters.
It's not just being pro-Israel. We must be pro-Palestinian as well.
Oh, you are? Nobody worries that the left is not sufficiently pro-Palestine.
Which addresses the terrible crisis in Gaza, where 60 or 70% of the young people are unemployed.
Again, 60% in Gaza are unemployed. Now, for those of you guys who don't understand why people talk about globalism in relation to the Democratic Party in particular, at this point so far in the debate, we have now heard about international polling, what they think of the president. We've heard about Mexican workers in Mexico forming unions, unemployment in Gaza, and at this point so far, they have not spoken one word about unemployment in America. And at the same time, we've had one candidate say, yes, he would be willing to displace American workers from their jobs. It's mind-blowing to me how these people think that anybody is going to vote for them.
That somehow makes him pro-Israel and pro-Jewish while welcoming white nationalists into the White House.
Who? Who are the white nationalists in the White House? I don't understand. How many people do they think are white nationalists? Jesus.
It's not just the mockery at a cocktail party on the sidelines of a conference. It was the looks on the faces of the leaders at the UN as they looked at the United States president with a mixture of contempt and pity. We see among our allies and among our adversaries, case after case.
Again, what other countries think? What our adversaries think? Who gives a fuck what our adversaries think? That's why they're our adversaries.
What we do is we have to put pressure constantly on the Israelis to move to a two-state solution.
Really? Pressure Israel. You know what? Show me one Democrat saying pressure Palestine. I dare you. I fucking dare you. Show me one.
We have a very clear and coherent foreign policy when it comes to human rights. Check out my website, amyklobuchar.com. I have the 5 R's of our foreign policy.
Ooh, that's an exciting way to energize the voters, Amy. Those 5 R's. Oh, thrilling. Feel that energy.
He is echoing the vocabulary of dictators around the world. When the American president refers to unfavorable press coverage as the product of the enemy of the people, democracy around the world gets weaker. Freedom of the press, not just here at home, but around the world, gets weaker.
They love this whole enemy of the people line, but I'm sorry, a media that only promotes one party, that acts as basically the PR wing of one single political party, which, according to a study at Harvard, media coverage is 92% pro-Democrat, anti-Republican, anti-Trump. I think that number is probably low. A media which lies to us and misinforms us, it is the enemy. Not the media in general, but a dishonest media. Obama jailed journalists under the Espionage Act, about a half dozen of them. They didn't say a word about that. But ooh, Trump says mean things. Give me a fucking break.
Mayor, that the freedom of the press is deep in my heart. My dad was a newspaperman. That experience that I will bring to the White House with protecting the First Amendment.
Whew, is it rich coming from Democrats, them talking about the First Amendment? Yeah, they only care about the First Amendment when it comes to allowing 5 corporations to entirely control the information we receive without ever being criticized or held accountable.
And I am the one that asked every attorney general candidate we've had under Donald Trump, both of whom I opposed, about their respect for the First Amendment, protecting our journalists. They would not commit that they wouldn't put a journalist in jail for doing their job.
Obama did! Trump wouldn't commit to not jail journalists. Obama did jail journalists! Ugh. Make it stop! I can't.
Former President Obama said this week, when asked who should be running countries, that if women were in charge, you'd see a significant improvement on just about everything.
So women are equal to men, but also better. What Obama actually said was women are indisputably better than men. So, fuck equality. And it just shows how dishonest these people are, because if he actually meant that, why run in 2008? Hillary would have been president then if she got the nomination, so why run? Oh, because people who play woke identity politics are just the most dishonest people on this earth. They mean nothing of which they say. It's just all about regurgitating applause lines. Clap, clap, clap. Women are better than men. Trans women of color. Black Lives Matter.
Senator Sanders, you are the oldest candidate on stage this evening.
And I'm white as well.
Shh, Bernie. Don't remind them. They're gonna get the pitchforks and torches.
The issue is where power resides in America. And it's not white or black or male or female.
Then if it's not black or white, why don't you say that the rest of the time? Like, where's that guy?
When you're white, you don't know what it's like to be living in a ghetto. You don't know what it's like to be poor.
And again, this really speaks to the failure of Bernie Sanders in this election, because most people forget this, but after the Democrats lost the 2016 election, Bernie Sanders actually said something where he got it, and he said, it's not enough to be a woman, it's not enough to be black or a minority, it's about what you stand for. And, of course, they gave him so much shit for that he immediately backtracked within a day, because he's weak as hell. This is who's going to take on the establishment? He's going to take on ISIS? And I think it's very sad, because whether you like Bernie Sanders or not, whether you agree with him or not, I think he could have been so much more than what he has chosen to be in this election.
Senator Warren, you would be the oldest president ever inaugurated. I'd like you to weigh in as well.
I'd also be the youngest woman ever inaugurated.
Woman! She said woman! Clap, 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 clap.
I believe that President Obama was talking about who has power in America, whose voices get heard. I believe he's talking about women and people of color and trans people and people whose voices just so often get shoved out.
Yes, trans people don't get heard from enough. I repeat, we do not hear from the trans community enough. Trust me, we hear them. It is the shrill, ear-piercing, soul-crushing, nagging voice of your mother-in-law if she had a child with your downstairs neighbor who bangs on your ceiling with a broomstick telling you to turn down that satanic rock and roll music. Yes, the trans lobby has no power. They can only bend billionaires like J.K. Rowling over their knee. They can only make grown men like Mario Lopez bow and grovel at their feet. They can get highly respected doctors and scientists and researchers thrown out of their job. They can get presidential candidates to repeat their every ridiculous talking point and recite their pronouns. They can end your career. They can decide to end women's sport. They can force modern medicine to bow to their every whim. In countries like Canada and the UK, they can arrest you if you do not nod your head and comply. But yeah, that's just because they're very powerless. Oh, and by the way, it's very telling that she didn't include gay in that. No. We've been thrown into like the minority trash pile with Jews and Asians.
And now I'm crowding in on 100,000 selfies.
Oh my god, first of all, okay, am I the only person who has realized that pictures aren't selfies? So anyway, I cannot believe I'm about to say that. Trust me, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I kind of thought Pete Buttigieg won this debate. Like, to be honest, I think he kind of kicked ass in this. Just objectively, obviously, I'm not going to vote for him, but oh, this was so good. So this was the first time this entire campaign that we've seen anybody even slightly, even this much, challenge Elizabeth Warren, and she fell apart.
So the mayor just recently had a fundraiser that was held in a wine cave full of crystals and served $900 a bottle wine.
You know, according to Forbes magazine, I am literally the only person on this stage who's not a millionaire or a billionaire. So if this is important, this is the problem with issuing purity tests you cannot yourself pass. Senator, your net worth is 100 times mine.
Yes! Oh, I've been waiting this whole time for somebody to call them out about this, because all they talk about is the millionaires and billionaires, and they're all millionaires and billionaires.
I do not sell access to my time. I don't do call time with millionaires and billionaires.
Sorry, as of when, Senator?
I don't meet.
As of when?
And look, I've taken one that ought to be an easy step for everyone here. I've said to anyone who wants to donate to me, if you want to donate to me, that's fine. But don't come around later expecting to be named ambassador.
I told them I don't grant them favors. Yeah, according to her. What politician would say otherwise? Who is going to say, oh yeah, I tell my donors I'll grant them all the favors? Like, how does this make you special in any way? Who would say anything but that? This is an easy step. Of course it is, because it's just words.
Senator, your presidential campaign right now, as we speak, is funded in part by money you transferred.
Look at her face!
Having raised it at those exact same big-ticket fundraisers you now denounce.
Look at her! Look at her face! She has nothing to say. She's standing there shaking like a leaf. This is the person who's going to go against Trump? She can't take any criticism. So I think I was kind of wrong about her because this whole time I've been like, ooh, don't underestimate her. I think she's really strong. I think she could beat Trump. And she cannot stand up to any questioning. I gotta say, I think this is the day that Pete Buttigieg's balls dropped. Like, we literally just saw his wiener grow a couple inches in front of our eyes. Amazing.
We'd like to bring everyone in, but Senator Klobuchar had your hand up first. We'd like to call on you.
I did not come here to listen to this argument.
I hate when they do this shit about, oh, the people don't want to hear us fighting. Yes, we do. It's a debate, bitch.
Maybe, I don't know, the only candidate up here doesn't have any billionaire contributions.
The millionaires and billionaires. I only drink 2% milk for the 1% of the 2% of the 1%. So then, people like to think that Yang is so much different, but you'll see.
Our country is deeply misogynist, and most all of us know that. Money and men are tied together.
Again, women are equal to men, but also better.
Because the fact is, if you get too many men alone and leave us alone for a while, we kind of become morons.
This president is not against immigration. He's against immigration by non-white people.
Yes.
He's been vilifying non-white people. He's been trying to inflame his base and scare them that if, in fact, white people lose control of this country, that they're going to lose control of their lives. And as somebody who lives in a majority-minority state, which is...
They keep vilifying him, and by proxy, they continue vilifying his voters. So all his voters are just racist and horrible. Good luck getting all those votes back.
Day one, we introduce bipartisan legislation, which will in fact be comprehensive, which will result in a path toward citizenship for all of the 11 million who are undocumented. That is what the people of our country want.
So they get citizenship, all of them, all 11 million. Citizenship for everybody. There have been how many debates now, and not one of the leading candidates has given any indication that illegal immigration is anything other than just this wonderful, noble, pure, amazing thing.
Mr. Mayor, you said last month that the U.S. owes compensation to children separated from their families at the southern border. Are you committing, as president, to financial compensation for those thousands of children?
Yes, and they should have a fast track to citizenship.
So, we're now going to have reparations for illegal immigrants as well. It's like I swear they're just fucking with us. They can't be serious.
And they should have a fast track to citizenship.
Citizenship for them too. Bernie just gave 11 million people citizenship, so anyone else want to come in? You get a citizenship, you get a citizenship, you get a citizenship.
Could I
I had to
respond?
look into the eyes of an 8-year-old boy whose father was deported and try to think of something to tell that boy because I couldn't tell him what he most wanted to hear, which is just that he was going to have his dad back.
I hate it when politicians try to do the little Suzy shit. These stories about people that they met. This is just like a little girl I met in Iowa and or New Hampshire. Little Suzy. Little Suzy is sick. So sick. And little Suzy said to me, "Will you save my life? I don't want to die." So I am running for president, not for myself, but for little Suzy. And for our children and our grandchildren. Thank you. Spare me the little Suzy stories. I know I'm a bitch. Sorry.
Should the U.S. also compensate descendants of enslaved people? Do you support reparations for African Americans?
I support H.R. 40, which is the bill that has been proposed in Congress to establish a commission to look at reparations.
Just so you know, This should tell you how full of shit these people are. Not one of them actually believes what they're saying, because notice the little sleight of hand tricks they do in their language, how careful they are. We need to talk about reparations, discuss it, study it, look at it, have a conversation about it. That one's my favorite. Because they all know how toxic it is, and none of them want to be stuck to defending it a year from now, so I only said we'll talk about it, we'll look at it, we'll have a conversation about it. They think you are too stupid to notice that little linguistic sleight of hand trick.
The reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent.
Did you guys catch that? Well, let's play it again.
We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent.
We cherry pick the best? Wait, so now you're for merit-based immigration? Haven't they all been calling Trump racist for that? Isn't that exactly what he wants?
You seem to imply that my relationship to the First Amendment was a talking point, as if anyone up here has any more or less commitment to the Constitution than anybody else up here. Let me tell you about my relationship to the First Amendment. It is part of the Constitution.
This is what I know about the First Amendment. It's in the Constitution. This is what I know about the Bible. It's a book.
Switching gears here, Mr. Steyer, earlier this year in Iowa, I met a father, Bill Stumpf, and his son Kyle in Dubuque.
Oh my god, now the moderators are little Suzying us.
Kyle is a remarkable young adult with significant disabilities, and as president, are there specific steps that you would take to help people like Kyle become more integrated into the workforce and into their local communities?
Gee, I'm glad that after, a dozen debates almost, now finally we are talking for all of 2 minutes about disabled people. And I think this is an interesting point, because in a minute we're about to get to the transgender section of the debate, which there has been in every single debate so far. Transgender people are about 0.3 to 0.6% of the population, and they are calling the shots. They have got our entire world by the balls. By comparison, disabled people are 20% of the population, and we do not do shit for them. I live in New York City. Most of the subway stations near me aren't even wheelchair accessible. But, maybe if there were a very powerful and affluent wheelchair lobby.
We have to be able to say to our kids and Kyle that you have intrinsic value because you're an American and you're a human being. We're going to put a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month in everyone's hand.
Oh my god! He even made friggin' disabilities about UBI. God, I swear, Yang and Klobuchar can turn anything into their talking points. They're like talking points robots.
I came here to make a case for progress, and I have never even been to a wine cave. I've been to the Wind Cave in South Dakota.
Watch, I can do it with anything. I really like this soda. Well, while you were drinking your soda pop, Mr. Mayor, I was in the Midwest, building windmills and sewing clothing out of drapery with Fräulein Maria. And I'll tell you who doesn't have soda pop. It is the Black and Latino children in the windmills in the Midwest, and that is why I am running to be Mrs. President of the United States. Standing ovation.
I want to make it clear that I've opposed many, many judges, and I think everyone will remember what happened at the Kavanaugh hearing.
Oh, we remember.
When that nominee went after me, I stood my ground, and he had to apologize.
He had to apologize. Only a Democrat would bring that up as a selling point in a debate. I got people to apologize.
Senator Sanders, at least 22 transgender people were killed in the United States this year, most of them transgender women of color.
Oh, we've now gotten to the transgender section of the debate. Here it is. Trans murders. I am so tired of this bullshit fear-mongering talking point.
What we also need for the transgender community is to make sure that health care is available to every person in this country, regardless of their sexual orientation or their needs. And that is why I strongly support and have helped lead the effort for a Medicare for all.
The transgender community has been marginalized in every way possible.
How? They have more power than anyone! How are they so marginalized? It's less than half of 1% of the population. It's all we hear about.
Here's a promise I make. I will go to the Rose Garden once every year to read the names of transgender women, of people of color who have been killed in the past year.
If you look at the numbers of transgender people who are killed every year, and it's about 20 this year, 20, which, by the way, by comparison, 51 people in America each year are struck by lightning. So a non-transgender person is 4.5 times more likely to be a victim of a homicide than a transgender person is. What would you do to stop the violence? Get them out of prostitution, get them out of drugs, and get them out of domestic violence situations, because those are the real killers. I am so sick of them breaking people down into these groups. It is such bullshit.
I will change the rules now that put people in prison based on their birth sex identification rather than their current identification.
This is just more pandering bullshit. Okay, so let's talk about this transgender in prison issue. So this is a very complicated issue because if you allow people to just self-identify, everybody is going to want to go to the women's prison, which is a lot easier, where men won't be raped all the time. And then you're allowing every murderer and rapist and sexual predator to just say, oh, I identify as a woman, and then you put them in with women. So if you do that, you are allowing for the potential of women to be abused. But on the other hand, it's a difficult issue because if you have real transgender people, if you have somebody who's a transgender woman and has been her whole life, and you throw her into the male prison, then you have the potential for her to be abused. So it's not an easy decision either way. It's a complex subject that needs complex solutions. But that doesn't fit on a bumper sticker other than saying, oh, trans people in prison.
Vice President Biden, let's turn now to Afghanistan.
Afghanistan.
War in Afghanistan. As Vice President, what did you know?
Afghanistan, you said?
Yes, sir, Afghanistan.
That's it. Sorry.
As Vice President, U.S. troops from Afghanistan, but the Taliban today...
The Taliban in Afghanistan. Oh, I hate when people overpronounce words to show how worldly they are.
Confidential documents published last week by the Washington Post revealed that for years, senior U.S. officials misled the public about the war in Afghanistan.
Oh, Obama lied about the Afghanistan war. You don't say. Bunch of warmongering con artists.
I got in a big fight for a long time with the Pentagon because I strongly opposed the nation-building notion we set about.
Joe, you have voted for every war over the last 40 years.
Senator Sanders, you've spent plenty of time discussing and defending the merits of your Medicare for All plan, but the reality is that your plan as constituted probably would not have the votes to pass Congress. So the question, Senator, is if Congress rejects your plan and the American people are looking to you for leadership on this issue, are there smaller, specific measures that you would take immediately to expand coverage and decrease costs as president?
Well, Tim, at a time when we're spending twice as much per capita on health care as any other nation, when 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured, when 30,000 people are dying each year.
So Bernie Sanders was asked how Medicare for All would pass, and of course he has no answer, just like Elizabeth Warren has no answer. None of them have any answers. And that's a huge thing with Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren too. They cannot say how any of this shit would pass. You know, Obamacare, they had the highest majority they had had in history. They had a supermajority or close to it, and it barely passed by the skin of its teeth. How is any, and that was nothing compared to this. Like, how is any of this going to get passed? What these people don't want to say is that healthcare is 1/6 of the economy. How do you just remove 1/6 of the economy and have it not collapse? And nobody will ask them that, and nobody will answer it.
Hey, put your hand down for a second, Bernie, okay?
Just waving to you, Joe.
I know.
Saying hello.
I know.
Ooh, senior fight.
160 million people have negotiated their health care plans with their employer, like many of you have. You may or may not like it. If you don't like it, you can move into the public option that I propose in my plan. But if you like it, you shouldn't have Washington dictating to you. You cannot keep the plan you have.
Thank you.
So if you like your doctor, you can keep it. Who said that before? It doesn't ring a bell. So then the moderator for the last question asks the weirdest friggin' thing.
In the spirit of the season, I'd like to ask each one of you, is there someone else among these candidates that you have two options. One, a candidate from whom you would ask forgiveness for something maybe that was said tonight or another time, or a candidate to whom you would like to give a gift.
Is she drunk? What gift? What kind of gift are they going to give? What's he going to pull a poinsettia out of his coat? Merry Christmas. The fuck? Oh, so anyway, their answers to this were so obnoxious. Warren and Klobuchar both pretended to cry.
I will ask for forgiveness. I know that sometimes I get really worked up. And sometimes I get a little hot. I don't really mean to.
Forgive me for being too passionate and hardworking. I know it's a flaw. Ugh. This is like the time that Newt Gingrich said he cheated on his wife because he loves America too much.
What happens is when you do 100,000 selfies with people, you hear enough stories about people who are really down to their last moments. You know, I met someone just last week in Nevada who said that he has diabetes.
Wow. She somehow combined humble brags, selfies, and little Suzy. Gotta hand it to her. She's pretty good at being full of shit.
Well, I'd ask for forgiveness anytime any of you get mad at me. I can be blunt.
Oh, she's not gonna ask for forgiveness from her assistants who she throws binders at?
But there's something else going on here, and it is a decency check. It is a values check.
You throw shit at your underlings! What makes you so decent? I don't get these people. I don't.
When you see people, and we've all had this happen, that come to our meetings that say, you know, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump, but I don't want to do it again.
I'll never sin again. I'll never vote for Trump again. I'm sorry.
We have to remember as Democrats, and if I get worked up about this, it's because I believe it so much in my heart.
Oh, I'm really sorry to get so worked up there. I know. Sorry to fly off the handle like that with my 5 R's.
We have had quite a debate tonight, but I want to debate Donald Trump. I want to be president of the United States.
Yeah, well, I want a ferry and a pony and a tea party and to shtup you and McGregor, but we can't all get what we want now, can we?
Who can beat Donald Trump, and how will she do it? So, Donald Trump built his fortune on, over time, over $413 million that he got from his dad.
I don't get it. I really don't get it, because they're all just bringing up the same old things from the last election. The tax returns and the loan from his father, the $1 million, the same stuff that didn't work last time, and it's not going to work this time. This is just the definition of insanity, but I guess they have nothing else to run on. Somebody should tell them they're not running against Trump. They're running against each other. Only the nominee runs against Trump. So, I mean, they're standing there all agreeing with each other. They sometimes bring up these little tiny differences. Oh, who went to the wine cave? Who didn't? Nobody cares. None of them are really trying to win, I don't think. And then Biden said just an amazingly profound statement.
I think everyone up here on the stage and those who are not on the stage who've run, we owe them because they're all pushing for the same exact thing.
Let me just repeat that. I think everyone up here on this stage knows they're not on the stage of Run, We Owe Them because they're all pushing for the same exact thing. Huh? So then at the end, Biden had some sort of episode.
Giving them my private phone number. They keep in touch with me. The little kid who says, I can't talk. What do I do? I have scores of these young women and men.
So I'm just going to keep it real. To me, my opinion, just me, put the tinfoil hat on. To me, that seemed like he had some sort of episode. Like the time that Hillary's head started shaking. So after this, he was attacked because they said, oh, he was mocking people with stutters. And he responded by saying, oh, it's a deep, dark secret that he's had a stutter his whole life, and that was him stuttering. I'm calling bullshit on all of that. I'm sorry, but can we all acknowledge reality here? This man is not well. Like, I don't understand how everybody is playing make-believe and pretending that Biden is healthy and of sound mind and health. I mean, the guy is clearly unwell. And I honestly kind of feel sorry for him because I think Biden seems like he's a decent human being. I don't think that he's somebody like Bill Clinton or Hillary Clinton who's just a scumbag. Like, I think he's probably a good man and a wonderful husband and father, but like, he's not well, and it's hard to watch. I genuinely feel sorry for him. So recently I rewatched some of his clips from 2008 and 2012. It seems like a different person. Back then, he was commanding and witty and well-spoken and strong.
The only way you can find $5 trillion in loopholes is cut the mortgage deduction for middle-class people, cut the health care deduction for middle-class people, take away their ability to get a tax break to send their kids to college. Not mathematically possible.
It is mathematically possible. It's been done before. It's precisely what we're proposing.
It has never been done before.
It's been done a couple of times, actually.
It has never been
Jack
done
Kennedy
before.
lowered tax rates, increased growth. Ronald Reagan.
Now you're Jack Kennedy.
Ronald Reagan.
The amounts of money we're raising here are obscene from all difference of us. You know, we're raising, I'm not, raising, I wish I were. We're raising 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 million. A lot of stakeholders in that. A lot of stakeholders in that. Number two, my good friend from New Mexico, God love him, his state's a couple million people. Give me a break. You can pull that together, pull together 300 million people. That's like saying, you know, I played halfback when I was in high school, I can play in the pros. A different deal. Third point I'd make here.
Are you saying he's not qualified?
I'm saying he's a great governor. He's a great governor, he'd make a great Secretary of State, but he's not, you know. Now, the other part here is...
And today, he's this stumbling, stuttering mess. So I don't get why we all have to play make-believe and pretend that this is normal.
I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun, and the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again.
Like, to me, it seems like some sort of early Alzheimer's or something, but he is clearly not well. And I think anybody would have a better chance at going against Trump than he would. I mean, how is this person going to go against Trump? He can't finish a sentence. He can't, like, he is clearly not well. So anyway, that's about the whole debate. Oh my god, this was miserable trying to watch this. I thought Pete Buttigieg was the clear winner. He's the only one who I think at this point could go against Trump. I thought Warren had a chance, but you see what she's like when she's challenged. I mean, imagine him going after her. So, if you look at the polls, it seems like it's going to be Biden, but I cannot imagine that that would be allowed to happen under any circumstance. One thing that I've been wondering is, are we sleeping on Bernie Sanders? Because it seems like he's just sort of an afterthought in this whole thing, but his supporters are definitely the most passionate, and I mean, that's how Trump won last time. He didn't have a majority of people in the primary, but his supporters were the most passionate. So, you know, he's up there in all the polls in all the early states. He's at least second, maybe third. So, I don't know. You guys let me know what you think. Are we sleeping on Bernie Sanders? I don't know. So, anyway, I can't take any more of this. It's crazy to think that voting starts in Iowa in a month. So, we're getting down to it, and they still have no halfway decent candidates. So, this is kind of crazy. Amy Klobuchar gave me a headache. What a pain in the ass. She's like the PTA mother from hell. Ugh. Anyway, this was miserable watching it, and I am going to go take a shot or something. I need it after that. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this. Please, you know, blah, 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 all the YouTube-y stuff. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on all the stuff. Don't forget to keep tweeting. Free Mike Harlow. If you really like me, subscribe to my Patreon. All the links are below. So anyway, I hope you guys had an amazing Christmas and have a great New Year, and I'm so excited for this year ahead. I have so many cool things planned, and I'm going to try to really ramp stuff up on my channel even more. So thank you guys so much for being so supportive and sticking with me, and I love you guys so much. See you soon.